The opening scene of FNAF is riveting and exhilarating. It gets right into the story and the horror in this horror movie immediately, putting us right in the situation of a security guard who is being stalked and hunted by the animatronics and then is eventually killed. But before he's killed, he's captured, and as he's captured, we get to watch as he struggles with trying to escape. But there's something off about this scene. First of all, it goes on for a hilarious amount of time and is not helped by the amount of cuts that it has that make it feel clunky. Compare this to the opening scene from a movie beloved by fans, critics, and award festivals alike, Get Out, and we see some similarities but also some differences. Once again, we are dropped into something eerie. Almost immediately, as Lakeith Stanfield's Andre is walking along a dark suburban neighborhood. When it comes to the editing, the cutting is minimal and it really lets the tension build as Lakeith walks and talks to his girlfriend on the phone and then eventually starts being followed in a car. Then we see him wise up as he is aware of the car and then turns to the other side of the road. There's a subtlety to this scene as well compared to the first one. It doesn't break away or have many cuts, and just like that, bam, Andre is grabbed, held in a chokehold until he's rendered unconscious and then dragged off into the car. Jordan Peele makes the scene much cleaner by using less cuts and allowing us to actually sit in the moment with these characters so we can properly feel what they feel. These small things are part of the reason critics look at a movie like the FNAF movie and decide they just can't give it a high score compared to a movie like Get Out. And entertaining as it may be to certain audiences like younger audiences and the cult fan base, that isn't what movie critics are judging necessarily. And it's a similar thing later on in these movies with the scenes where this time our protagonists face some danger of a similar nature. In FNAF, our main character Mark is trapped by the animatronics and he needs to find a way to escape. And so once again, with a little less cutting in the editing this time, he struggles to find how to get out while we watching horror. And I will say that this scene is definitely much scarier than the first, but it's not really because of the technical prowess. It's more because of the fact that this movie does a really good job at making us feel for the character before this point. And wanting to see them suffer is just not on the table. For the opposing scene from Get Out, I almost went with the escape scene and the final fight, but I didn't think it matched up completely tonally, so instead I selected a scene slightly earlier in the plot of these two movies if we're considering them in parallel, where Chris goes out to get a smoke. So Chris, he's unable to sleep at night, so he gets up and goes outside. As he heads out, we see the maid Georgina do a quick jump scare behind him. That sets us up to feel unsafe in this particular moment. We know something is wrong that the protagonist doesn't. And then while he's outside getting a cigarette, he turns and sees this: the gardener running at him at full speed. Or so he thinks. It's not even necessarily the most frightening premise, but with a lot of quality control, they manage to sell the fright a lot more than FNAF does, with our protagonist being in literal danger. So what could have been different to these FNAF movie scenes? Let me explain. But right before that, I imagine you're enjoying this video at this point, so please go ahead and subscribe. My name is Jose, and this channel is essentially about nerding out about film and storytelling on a technical and cultural level. I had to redo this entire video because it was copyright claimed and blocked the first time, and I hope it doesn't happen again. But I have to ask, if you would like to support these filmmaking videos, please consider becoming a channel member and donating to our Buy Me a Coffee account linked in the description. These scenes are functionally the same thing. They should scare the heck out of the audience. Jump scare galore, if you will. The thing is, one of them is way more effective with a way less frightening premise if you consider it. Why? Because of a little thing called suspense. In the Get Out scenes, at this point in the movie, we know that something is wrong, and so the movie slows down and tries to get us to feel calm again, either as Chris goes out for a late night smoke or Andre turns away from his stalker, and then immediately rips that away from us as Chris turns and sees the gardener running at him, or as Andre realizes that his stalker is no longer in view and then creeps up behind him. It's a combination of suspense and shock. Imagine how much watered down that scene is if there's cuts that show us that the gardener is running before he frightens Chris, or where the kidnapper is. That's the problem with these scenes from FNAF. You show me the scary thing for long enough that the impact isn't scary anymore. And adding to that the cutting, it looks rather unnecessary and maybe even a bit funny, maybe further proving Jordan Peele's point on the connection between comedy and horror. Anyway, I want you to picture this alternative scene. The security guard wakes up and the buzzsaw mask is already in his face. We get a camera shot of the inside of the mask showing us that this thing has blades that are close enough to cut, and the button to turn it off and on is currently off. And so we have the calm. And then just as the security guard starts to maybe figure his way out and it seems like there's hope, the machine turns on, swiftly presses into his face, and then we cut to black. I mean, I wish I could do a 3D model of this or something, but I will trust your beautiful and vivid imaginations to do most of the work.